Michael Munson with Forge. I wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about the 4th of July holiday that's coming up. For many of us, this is a time of fireworks and being with family and friends and having food. And this year it's probably going to be a little bit different for those of us who are in larger cities where the fireworks were canceled, where we're physically distancing, so we may not have those picnics or backdoor gatherings with our friends or family. And that might reduce the amount of shared time that we spend enjoying food together as well. For a lot of folks, the noises that happen around the 4th of July can be really distracting and really upsetting. Many trans folks and non-binary folks and loved ones, and obviously many other folks as well, live with symptoms of trauma. So feelings of being on edge, feelings of anxiety, being a little bit jumpy when there's loud noises or things that are happening in the environment. So we know that fireworks can sometimes make that a little bit worse, and those symptoms feel a little bit more painful. So we know that everybody responds differently, both to like the loud noises of the fireworks, as well as to how people cope. But I wanted to share a couple of ideas just to kind of plant the seeds of what folks can do if you're concerned about the upcoming 4th of July weekend and the potential noise and light and sound and all of the pieces that go with it. So one of the things that we really recommend is to plan ahead, and planning ahead can mean a lot of different things to people. So I'm going to talk about a couple of areas where I think people can plan ahead, and it may help reduce some of those traumatic symptoms. So one of the places is around noise. So what can we do around the literal noise of the fireworks, which is oftentimes what is the most upsetting for people? So we can buy foam earplugs where it really blocks out a lot of the sound. We can also use things like noise canceling headsets. So usually those big headsets that look like the 70s, but they're really cool again now. Sometimes they're really expensive and are not affordable for everybody. But those noise canceling headsets work really well for kind of tuning out the noise that you don't want to have happening, but listening to the things that you do want to have. So you can also use those headphones to play music or play an audiobook or watch a movie or do something that has sound going into them, as well as just putting on those headsets for literally the noise canceling aspect of them. Works really well. Again, it's important if we're planning ahead to think about, well, what kind of music do we want to have? Do we want to have any music at all? And if so, can we make a playlist for it? Or do we want to listen to an audiobook? And if so, what audiobook would we like to listen to? Do we want to listen to something that's really complex? Do we want to listen to something that's fiction? Many different options there. The other thing that bothers a lot of folks with fireworks and the 4th of July are things related to the light. So, fireworks obviously make noise, and they also make a lot of light. So if possible, if you're staying in your own space, it's great if you can drop the blinds or the drapes, close the drapes. If you can go into a room that has no windows in it, if you have a basement, that's oftentimes really good because it both kind of dampens the sound as well as there's oftentimes not any windows or any place where the light can come through. Some people enjoy eye pillows. Sometimes that really bothers people to have something over their eyes, but eye pillows or a blanket or a pillowcase or anything that you can cover your eyes with sometimes will also just help with that stray light that's coming in through the windows or through the cracks in the windows from the fireworks. It's possible for some folks to actually try to go to bed earlier, and sometimes that's really too hard if emotions are running really high. But if you can plan to go to bed a little bit earlier, close the drapes, maybe turn on the TV or some music. Being asleep definitely will help minimize both the sound and the light impact. It's also useful to drive maybe to a different part of the city or even outside of the city where maybe there's going to be less chance of having fireworks in the air in the community. One of the things that we might want to think about too is some proactive things that we can do ahead of time. So one of those things, if we're comfortable doing it, is to talk to our neighbors. So a lot of times when People in our neighborhood are shooting off, small fireworks or even sparklers that don't make a lot of noise, it can be really upsetting, especially if we're like going in and out of our house. Or if we're cooking out or whatever it is that we're doing. So if we talk to our neighbors ahead of time, we can at least know that they're going to be engaging in some firework activity, or know that they're not going to be, or maybe make an agreement that the neighbors are going to do fireworks at a certain time so that you can plan ahead around that. You may want to find out if there are public fireworks. So again, a lot of them this year are being canceled, but maybe your city does have fireworks that are planned. So knowing where they are and what time they are, again, will also help you plan to do some of those things with noise canceling or light, sensory diminishing, so that it can help with that. You may want to connect with friends or make a friend date for the times that maybe over the fireworks, or maybe the whole day on the 4th of July or the whole 4th of July weekend. So with physical distancing, this might be with people in your bubble. So a lot of us are engaging in social contact with people that we kind of have in a close circle. Or it might be engaging with your friends by Zoom or by telephone or by text or any number of ways. So, but having your friends be kind of in the know that it might be a difficult time, and planning on doing either something fun with them or having them as kind of a backup for to help you with your emotions might be a really good plan ahead practice. It's oftentimes important to make both a plan and then a backup plan, because sometimes trauma is one of those really weird things that we think that we can have a plan that's going to work really well, and then something surprises us and it doesn't work as well as we want. So sometimes thinking through the options and then having a secondary plan is really important. I want to really stress, though, that the reactions that we have are normal. So if we feel anxious, if we feel jumpy, if we feel a little crazy and like we're going out of our heads, those are normal and natural things that we're feeling. It's a normal response to trauma, even if we're not experiencing that trauma right this minute in an active first-time scenario. Those emotions were really important when trauma originally happened, and a lot of those stick with us for a really long time, and sometimes for our lifetime. So those feelings and those reactions are okay. It's important for us to remember too that the stimulus around the fireworks, or the stimulus around noisy neighbors or whatever else is causing the potential in traumatic responses, that those things are temporary. They're going to go away. It may be, just an evening worth, or maybe just a day's worth, and that might feel painfully long, but it will go away. And for the most part, we're safe, even though it feels that we're not safe. So if we can try to remind ourselves that we really are safe and it's really going to end and things will get better in a little while, those can be useful things to hang on to. So just to kind of wrap up, there's kind of like 3 areas that I just shared about. One is about distraction. So using music or movies or friends or audio books or a task like cleaning or anything else that will distract you from the fireworks or the loud noises that are happening. The other strategy is around stimulus reduction. So that can be about having like earplugs or noise canceling headsets, again, using music, closing blinds, going to your basement, going places that are a little bit quieter or a little bit less visually stimulating, or sleeping if that's a possibility. You might want to take a shower as well, which both would distract as well as offer a different kind of stimulus. And the third piece is really about looking at what's in your toolbox. So we all have a toolbox of coping skills that we use. So it kind of depends on what you have used and what you've grown and developed as your coping strategies. So for some of us, we might rely heavily on our friends to be in that toolbox. So to have our friends, at the ready and plan to incorporate them on the 4th of July weekend. That might be important. It might be important to make sure that all of our phone apps or computer apps are up to date. If we use apps like Calm or some other apps that help us with staying centered or breathing or reminding us of where we are and grounding us. We may want to go and buy the things that we need. So if we have, specific tea that we like to drink, or getting some of those earplugs or whatever it is, to go to the store ahead of time and get those things in our toolbox, literally, so that we have them when we're ready and needing them. We may want to just literally list out some of those techniques that we've used in the past. So how do we reduce anxiety? How do we kind of reduce the feelings of overwhelm? So a lot of us have lots of different techniques, and we can talk about those more some other time, but having those things at the ready is really important. So I hope that folks are able to cope in the ways that they need to cope for the 4th of July. If it's a holiday that you enjoy and you celebrate and you have a good time with, I'm really thrilled for you, and I hope that you can enjoy the festivities of it and the friendship of it, and the food sharing, if that's part of it as well. And for those of you who are stimulated in some more painful ways, I do hope that you can find some solace and some comfort in some action that you can take. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you soon.